Hello and welcome back. This is Jennifer McGuire and I'm thankful you're here. So today I have a very simple and basic video for you. I gave a little peek at this in my last video, but today I'm focusing on pass it on cards. This is about creating inserts for the inside of your cards so that when the recipient gets it, they can remove that insert, write their own message, and pass it on to someone else. This is a great way to continue the kindness that you give and that you show when you give someone a card. Now I have a few different alternatives that I wanted to share with you on how to include that insert temporarily inside of a card. And I will at the end of this create 2 new cards to share with you that are simple and fun. For years I've been asked what I do inside of my cards, and I thought this was a good way to share that. Okay, so this is the stamp set that I'm featuring today. This is the Simon Says Stamp Card Sharing Stamp Set. This is one that I've wanted to see for some time. In the past, I would print my own on a piece of computer paper and then cut it down and add it in my card. But I like that there are so many here and I can stamp them in whatever color ink I want on whatever cardstock I want. However, to make things simple, I do like to have a bunch of inserts ready to go that are just on white cardstock. So if I complete a card and I want to throw an insert in it quickly, then I have some ready. So I thought I'd show you how I pre-stamp a bunch of these card inserts and have them ready in my stash. If you don't have this stamp set, you could print on your computer the little messages on the inserts, or you can write them by hand. For my pre-made inserts, I use Neenah Classic Crest Solar White in 80 pound. This is a little bit lighter weight. There's no sense in using a super heavyweight cardstock for this. So I'm cutting my sheets down in half vertically and half horizontally. These were 8.5 by 11, and I'll end up with 4 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 5.5. And I'm cutting 2 sheets at once, which really saves time. So this is the size that my note card normally is. I mostly make note cards that are 4 1/4 by 5.5. So we need to trim this smaller so it fits inside of our note card. Using my trimmer, I'll cut 1/4 inch off one side and one end. This results in panels that are 4 by 5 1/4, which is a nice size to go inside of our card. Now, the reason I didn't cut this size originally is because look at these little strips that I end up with here. These are a great size for a sentiment strip that I can add on my cards later. So now I'll have a bunch of 1/4 inch wide strips ready to go for sentiment strips down the road. There you can see how my panel is slightly smaller now than what my final card would be. Now you can cut this out of any color of cardstock. You could even use printer paper, something thin. It doesn't matter at all. I normally like to create an insert to match my card, which you'll see me do throughout this video. But I also like to have a bunch of white inserts ready so that if I am running out of time or if I forget, I can grab it and add it to my card. And now I have all these little strips that I can put into a bowl and save for future sentiments. Now it's time to stamp our little pass it on greeting on the bottom of each of these panels. There are a bunch of different pass it on greetings in this stamp set, so you can change up what the greeting is or the style to fit your card if you want. I'm just going to stamp a variety of them so I'll have them on hand. I'm using my MISTI stamping tool since I'm stamping so many, but you can use an acrylic block if you prefer. I'm using my MISTI Creative Corner, that's that triangle piece, to make sure that I put this in here straight, and I'll just push it right towards the bottom of that panel. When I'm happy with the location, I can close the door on my MISTI, remove that Creative Corner triangle, and then stamp as many times as I want. On some of my inserts, I'll just use basic black ink. This is Gina K Amalgam Obsidian black ink. When I stamp sentiments like this, I like to stamp once very lightly and then the second time very lightly. And that way I don't get any like globs of ink on my little intricate letters in the sentiment. So that's why you see me double stamping, but you really don't have to do that if you don't want to. So many of these I'll do in black, and I can always color in this little image to match the card that I have. But I also like to have some in soft granite ink, which is a light gray ink. So it's a little more subtle, and then when I write my personal message above it, that will stand out more. If you want an even softer gray, you could use Simon Says Stamp Fog ink, and I did a few in that option too. Now remember, sometimes I do make horizontal cards or landscape cards. So I have some inserts that are cut to the same size, but I'll stamp along the long edge instead. Once again, I'm using the triangle from the Creative Corner set to kind of help me get it straight. Then I'll close the door on my MISTI and I can start stamping. If you're computer savvy, you can always print your pass it on greeting on the insert so you can make your own. For me, stamping is the best way to go, and I like that I can do this in different colors and different inks to match my card. So here is a colored insert. So I have one of the sentiments from the Simon Says Stamp card sharing set, and it's a solid banner with the words in it. So I thought I would stamp this on this Gina K Peach Bellini cardstock insert with Hero Art's Unicorn White pigment ink. That way it's very subtle. I will double or triple stamp this just to make it stand out a bit more, but by doing white ink on the color insert, it keeps it subtle, and the focus will be on my message that I'll write on this insert piece. But I really like how the white kind of glows at the bottom. You can clearly read it, but it doesn't stand out too much. So I actually made this card in my last video. I'll link to it here if you missed that. So I'm trimming down that insert. I ended up going with smaller than 5 1/4 by 4 inches. So there was a little more room on the edges to use this gold glitter washi tape. This is really old washi tape. I've had it in my stash for years. I know many of us have washi tape that we never really use that often, and this is a perfect way to use it. I put a piece of washi across the top and the bottom, and that will hold that in there. I'll write my message on that peach area on the inside. And then once the recipient's done reading it, they can remove that peach piece, write their own message on the white behind it, and send it on to someone else. So my first idea for adding these inserts into your card is to use washi tape. The washi tape is available in many different kinds, and often you can cut it to be a little more narrow, like the one that you see here. Here's another example where I used a tape to hold my insert on the inside of the card. This time I put the tape on the left and the right. So you can just trim your panel down to make room for the washi wherever you want it to be, or use a super narrow washi and you don't have to trim it down at all. Now, if you're looking for some fun washi tapes to use to hold your inserts in place, I recommend the collection from Altenew. Altenew has come out with some beautiful washi tapes, some narrow ones that are rainbow and gold and just gorgeous. So check those out. I'll link to them below if you are in need of some, but many of us already have washi tape in our stash. So there's a few examples from my last video where I used washi tape to hold the insert in place. Now my next example shows a different way to hold the insert inside of your card, but I thought it'd be fun if we made a card too in the process. So I'll make this Sunnier Days Are Coming card, and then I'll show you the insert idea. I'm really excited about the Simon Says Stamp Sunny Smiles stencil set. This has a great price point because it's just 4 small stencils, and you can layer them together to create this playful sunshine face. Or you can skip the face and do a more traditional sunshine without it. So I'm starting with the round part of our sun, and I have my Pink and Main mini ergonomic blending brush. I've used this in videos before. I really like the small size of this, and it's great for getting into small areas like this. So I'm using Pinkfresh Studio dye ink here simply because I like their yellow and orange colors, so that's what I reached for, but you can use any ink you want. I put yellow towards the outside, and now I'm putting a little bit of a light orange, even more outside than that. And I kept kind of a white haze there in the center. I didn't do it solid. I want it to look like it had dimension. Now I'm coming in with the rays, and I'll use that same light orange color. And I'm using the same Pink and Main blending brush. And check out how quickly I created that adorable little sun. Now it's time to do the face. You could ink over this, but I thought it'd be easier just to take a black Sharpie and trace inside of it. So this will give us the eyes and the smile. Now I wanted to make the cheeks a little special. So first I inked it in pink, and I wanted the pink to be a little opaque so that the yellow didn't show through it much, turning into orange. So I went with Distress Oxide ink because it has a pigment property to it, opaqueness. And I put pink ink on it, and then I came in with Tonic Moonstone Glimmer Paste. It's just a glitter paste that's clear, and applied that on top. And that gives some sparkle to the cheeks. While I set that aside to dry, let's create that cloud background. Now for this, I used the new Simon Says Stamp Rainbow Layering Stencil Set. Check this out. It has the arches to create a rainbow. Then there's a solid rainbow there too, some raindrops, and then look at all the different cloud options. I like that one side has more playful, rounded clouds and one has taller clouds, so you can use this in many ways. But I decided just to use one of the cloud borders, and I'm using Unicorn White Pigment Ink from Hero Arts. I have a blending brush that I use just for the white pigment ink, and I'm starting on the stencil and dragging the white ink off of the stencil, and that creates kind of that glow around our clouds. Another thing you could do is start with white cardstock and pull some blue ink off of the cloud border and create a sky that way. It's totally up to you. So next I used a circle die to die cut our sunshine, and surprisingly it didn't mess up that paste that we had put on top. And I layered 2 more circle dies underneath it so there would be dimension, and I added that right onto our cloud background. Now it's time for a sentiment, so I chose the Simon Says Stamp Hello Sunshine stamp set. This has lots of fantastic greetings in it. Many of these images would be fun to stamp on our card insert if we wanted to, and on the matching envelope. I encourage you to take a closer look at the greetings in this because there are a lot of good ones. I chose Sunnier Days Are Coming, and I'm going to stamp this a few times with black ink because I'm stamping on top of that white pigment ink. I want to make sure this is nice and dark black. So now it's time for our insert. I have cut a panel the same color as the front of our card. It is 5 by 3 3/4, so it's quite a bit smaller than our note card. I stamped one of the card sharing sentiments on the bottom with an ink that's slightly darker than our pool cardstock. And now I'm stamping another sunshine sentiment with black ink at the top center. I'll write my personal sentiment in between. This time, instead of using washi tape to hold the insert in the card, I'm creating little notches. Here I have my insert that I'm centering at the inside of my card, and I'm using pencil to put a little mark towards each side of each corner. So about 1/4 of an inch in from each corner. So you see how I'm putting a mark there and then a mark there, and I'll do the same on all 4 corners. This shows me where I can cut little slits that will hold our insert. So I have a little cutting mat here with my craft knife, and I'm cutting a slit connecting one dot to the other. So these are about 1/2 inch wide and right in the corners of the inside of my card. This really doesn't have to be cut perfectly, and I think there are dies and punches out there that do this, but it's really easy to do with a craft knife. So now I have 4 little diagonal corners cut, and my insert can slide right underneath each of those corners. So there's no glue or anything holding this in place, but the recipient will know to be able to remove the insert because of that message we stamped on the bottom. Now another fun thing you can do is cut another panel the exact same size and leave it just plain. Put both of these into those corners, tuck both together into the tuck corners, and that way when the recipient removes the one you wrote on, there will still be another blue piece there that they can write on to give this card to someone. It's totally up to you. You can put one in there if you prefer, but there wasn't much bulk to this card, so I figured it'd be fun to add both. So here's a look at the completed card. Now this is a happy card. I plan to make a bunch of these to give to teachers because I think our teachers need some serious encouragement this year for both face-to-face and virtual learning. So I'll be making a bunch of these because who wouldn't be cheered up by that happy little sunshine? And then there's our insert in the inside. I can just write my personal message in between the 2 sentiments, and then you can take the inserts out. And here's another panel that somebody could write on and pass to someone else, or you can skip the second panel. By the way, I wanted to mention there is a Sunny Days die that lines up perfectly with the stencil. So if you wanted to incorporate die cutting in with it, you could also. Okay, let's do another card example. This is a fun, easy rainbow-shaped card. And once again, I'll share a third idea, another way of including your inserts inside of the card. Let's make the card first. I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Rainbow Card Die Set. It's all the dies you see here along with the one I'm die cutting with. Any die cut machine will work. I'm just die cutting all of my pieces from different colors of cardstock. The die set does include that large die that you see there. When you die cut that, you just fold it in half and you have your rainbow shaped card base. Now all we have to do is glue the pieces on top. I die cut the clouds from white cardstock twice, and then once from memory box frosted glitter cardstock. I showed that in my last video. If you like glitter cardstock but don't want it to be too shiny, I recommend checking out the frosted. And I did a frosted die cut on the top of both of my clouds, so it had some sparkle to it. So now we can glue our layered clouds down, and also the different color arches that I created. This is very easy to line up. That's a nice thing about a die set like this. It makes it easy to pull together. There are also additional clouds, a sun, and a heart included in the set. So at this point, I thought it'd be fun to add the sun to it and then stamp a sentiment on it. So I created a little sun out of yellow and orange cardstock using the die included, and I stamped a greeting from that Hello Sunshine stamp set that I showed you earlier. I wanted to tuck it behind my cloud, so what I did here is cheated. I just put some glue on the back of the cloud, and now I'll put another glitter cloud on top of that. Instead of tearing the card and trying to tuck it behind, I just cut another and will glue it right on top, and no one will ever know. Now for my insert, I used the rainbow card base die, and I'm cutting off just one panel. Then I'm cutting some off of the bottom also. We want our insert to be smaller than our card base so that the recipient can see that it is removable. So I cut some off the bottom, and I'll cut a little bit off of here, and now we have an insert for this card. This time I stamped with Hero Art's soft granite ink for something soft, and I'm adhering it with temporary adhesive. I'm using mini glue dots. What I did is touched each of the mini glue dots once just to remove a little bit of the stick. Then I added it to the back of my insert in 3 spots. And I'll touch each side of those and then add it to the inside of my card. So what that does is removes a little bit of the tack, so this piece will be removable. You can also use a removable tape runner if you prefer, but I find that the glue dots work a bit better. To finish this card off, I used Tonic Aqua Shimmer pen on the rainbow itself. So here's a look at the completed card, which fits nicely into a 4-bar envelope. I love that this will stand on its own, has some sparkle to it, and I used up some scraps that I had. There you can see the frosted glitter paper I used for the clouds. Now I do want to mention, I know that many people like to decorate the inside of your cards, and I think that's great. I personally don't usually decorate the inside of my card because I like to leave enough room for a personal message. Sometimes I'll stamp an additional greeting in there and then write my personal greeting underneath it, and then my card sharing insert message below that. But you could definitely stamp or decorate or stencil or do whatever you want to your card insert. This doesn't take place of doing whatever decorating you like on the inside. It just adds the feature of being able to pass it on to someone else. Now I just wanted to show you one other favorite way I like to use my washi tape. This is not a completed card, but I wanted to show you. Another thing you can do is cut your insert a little bit short and only put washi tape at the top. This is good if you have washi tapes that are wider. So I had this beautiful Altenew rainbow washi tape. I loved it. So by cutting the panel shorter, I have more room for the wide washi tape along the top. So you could put it down like this, and then just don't put a piece at the bottom, and that will hold that insert in there. Or you could cut 2 narrow pieces from the wider washi tape and put 2 pieces at the top. So don't feel like you just have to put 2 little strips at the top and the bottom. You can be creative with it and use some of your colorful washis. Now there are a couple more things I wanted to mention, and I didn't film it before I went out of town. I apologize for that, but I wanted to mention it in this video. And that is the envelope that the person can use to pass it on. Now you could just give them a card with an insert, mail it like you normally do, and then they can find their own envelope to pass it on. Another thing that you can do is put your card with the insert on the inside into a blank envelope. Then put that in a bigger envelope or padded envelope and mail that. That way the inside has a blank envelope that they can use to pass it on with the card. Another option is to use clear sleeves. Now what you can do is fill out your card with the insert, put it in a blank envelope. Then put it in a clear sleeve and then put a white sticker on the front where you can put the address, return address, and postage. So there are a few creative options if you want to provide an envelope for the person to pass it on. But in most cases, I don't really think it's necessary, but it's up to you. I do often use padded envelopes when I have a card with lots of bulk anyways. All right, there you have it. Just some information on encouraging you to do card inserts so that the kindness can continue on. You give the card to someone to make them smile, and then they can do the same for someone else. If you're interested in the supplies that I talk about, they're linked below in my YouTube description. And here in the middle, I have a couple other videos for you, including how I organize my cards. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again soon.